Okay.
Welcome to another episode of the Fanzone Podcast, your home for all things Bolton Wanderers, up the Trotters, the Northwest's #1 podcast.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome back to another episode of the Fanzone Podcast. We're back with you once again, episode 66. And unfortunately, it's another one where it's not a 3-point pod. Wanderers fell to defeat against Bristol Rovers at home. A bit of a disappointing result, performance, manner of defeat, whatever else you want to add to the list. It wasn't too great, was it? But thank you all for tuning in. For those of you who are so interested in the podcast and so invested that you've tuned in for this one, thank you very much, because that is some commitment to the cause. Let us know how you're all doing this evening. But how are we all, folks? Chris, how are you?
Sorry, Ben. Get your frustrations out on the chat, everybody.
Yeah.
You know, we're an open book here to take on board whatever you say, and obviously we'll present them feelings across the screen as well. Kind of goes without saying.
Absolutely. How are we doing, Chris? How are you this evening, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Yeah, I think I have to make an admission and make some apologies to Bristol Rovers, because I actually proclaimed that we would give them a good slap. And that was of no detriment to them. It was more the fact that I expected a response from us at home. Obviously, it didn't happen. So, yeah, that'll teach me to make bold comments and rash.
Maybe it was me. Maybe it was me and giving a semi prediction.
Yeah, it must have been. Must have
Maybe
been.
I jinxed us.
I would say that it's probably more the fact that we were cack yesterday.
Yeah.
And you've got to give credit to Bristol Rovers. I mean, anyway, well, obviously we'll go into the detail, but I thought they set up really well. You got to give credit to the team that beat you, I suppose.
Yep. Colin, how are you? How are you doing this evening?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, it's as far as the football's concerned. I was looking at the table from last season earlier on today, and I was looking at Sheffield Wednesday, Plymouth, and Ipswich, and the amount of games that they lost. So obviously now is that our 6th defeat that the season? Or is it 5th? Sorry, correct me if I'm wrong. It's 6th.
Say that again, Colin. You were a bit quiet then.
Is that our 6th? Is that our 6th defeat of the season? That just gone yesterday.
5th, isn't it?
The 5th.
Wigan,
regardless.
Carlisle,
Yeah,
Portsmouth, and Bristol Rovers. Unless I've missed one.
Yeah. So regardless, I mean, yeah. What I'm trying to allude to is the fact that Sheffield Wednesday, who finished third last season, I think only lost 6 games the whole last season, and that was a little bit of an alarming. Like, right, okay, well, that's not ideal, because obviously we want to kind of finish in that top 2. But then I started thinking to myself, well, was that season a bit of an anomaly? Was it a bit of quality last season compared to what it's probably going to be this season? Probably, yeah. So I'm not panicking, but yeah, we'll go again, no doubt.
It's really tight, courtesy of our good friend Mr. Nappers at Fleetwood Town FC, COD Army. Some stats that he posted earlier, which I've blatantly stolen. Working on a points per game basis this season, Pompey are tracking 105.14, and therefore will go up as champions. So I'm not doing the whole kind of supercomputer thing, because I don't believe in them, because football is a funny old game, as they say. Second, Peterborough on 89.8. And we are currently sat in third place on 89.7 points. So that's what we're tracking at the moment based on our current points per game versus the number of games in the league this season, of which there are, 46?
Yeah, I think it's just dropped on it below that 2 points a game average, I think.
Yeah.
We're like 1.95.
If we were on 2 points per game, we'd be doing 92, and this has got us doing 89.7. But it's interesting to see that we're quite gap to fourth, which is Oxford. This is all speculative data and numbers and stuff like that. There's a lot that will affect it. Transfer window, injuries, blah, blah, blah.
Indeed. It's just one of them. I think you got to take each game as it comes. But Ange, how are we doing this evening?
I'm rough as toast. So I'm going to be a little bit quieter than normal. Yeah, bit shit, innit?
It is indeed. We'll get stuck into our...
Yeah, I mean, the first half, I have no idea got any words for that first half. Second half, we were miles better, but just weren't enough. In a nutshell.
Yeah, too little, too late, it seemed like. But we'll get stuck into our post-match reactions, and we'll dive into that a little bit more. I'm not even going to bother giving you mine because, I mean, we're all probably going to say the exact same thing. Colin, we'll go to you first. What did you make of the game on Saturday?
First of all, my Wi-Fi is playing up, so I don't know how well my signal's going to hold here, so I'll do my very best. Yesterday's game, I thought it was a bit of a shambles, to be honest with you. I think it started, once again, we got a warning on the right-hand side before they scored their first. Fullbacks being doubled up on. We didn't react to that tactically, which is a frustration. Obviously, they got a good cross in for the first attempt, and I think Nathan Baxter made a save from a header from one of their lads at the far post. So that was the warning sign, weren't it? But I thought all afternoon, certainly, obviously, like you say, from the first half perspective, we were very wasteful in possession. I think that Aaron Morley gave the ball away in midfield just before they scored, tried to play a ball that didn't quite get right, and obviously they broke. And credit where credit's due, great delivery in from the lad on the right and a decent finish. But mistakes all over the place. I think it's essentially started from the fact that we didn't react to the way that they started the game and the way that our fullbacks were getting put under pressure. It doesn't help really because we don't play wingers who can kind of drop in and help out the mates when needed and when they're under a little bit of pressure. And it happened on both sides, obviously, because they scored the second goal from the left. I don't think we lost the game because Rico got sent off. I thought we lost the game because we didn't react tactically to what was going on in front of us. That's my summary of yesterday. For what it's worth, I thought the substitution was the correct one. I'm with Everett with that. I think obviously Dion doesn't really offer you anything in terms of he's back to goal from a forwards perspective. He'll try, but I think Jon obviously offers a little bit more than that, which is obviously why he remained on the pitch. I understand the fans' frustrations, and I do get it. Why people saying should have kept Dion on because it's a goal scorer, etc., etc. But the chances are the same people that were saying that were the ones that were saying that Jon Dada should have been started the last few weeks because he scores goals. So depending obviously how you look at it. But yeah, pretty much shambolic, to be honest. And to be honest, I don't even think the second half of that much good. I thought they just sat in deep and obviously it allowed us to have a lot of the ball, but we didn't really ever look like scoring. I was surprised when we did, to be honest. But yeah, let's draw a line under it and try and stay positive going into that game on Saturday against Lincoln.
I thought he'd have at least got... I don't know why I shouted then, sorry. I thought he might have at least got us to half time as it was. I wasn't sure why he did the sub when he did it. I kind of get why he did it, but I just wasn't sure why.
Well, I think the reason being is some people might have said, well, why did we even change it at all? Which is, I think, what you're alluding to. I think
No,
the reason
literally, not alluding to that at all. I'm alluding to why you did it 5 minutes before half time and we just didn't go in as we were.
Time.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why. We were so close to half time. I just don't know why.
I think you're asking a lot of your attackers when you go down to 10 men, aren't you? Especially when you lose a defender. So like the mindset is, we're going to have to go long eventually, aren't we? And obviously that's why you wanted to kind of bring that extra man in defence and shore it up and give us an option to go along with Yon Daddy on his own. But yeah, shambles. Very frustrating.
Yep. Lots of comments in the chat reflecting that. Chris, have you got anything different to add to that?
Not particularly. I agree with what Colin's saying about the second half. I see, obviously, Ian Evatt in his post-match press conference said we were so much better in the second half. I think we were better in the second half. And the numbers back that up and substantiate it in terms of overall shots on target. We didn't have a shot on target in the first half. We had 3 in the second half. There was that.
But they're from the corners.
that string of corners that we had, which caused a lot of disarray in the Bristol Rovers defensive quarters. I thought that the save that their keeper made from Bodvarsson was expected again from that little run of corners that we had. I thought he was limping at the time as well. I agree with Evatt with regards to Bodvarsson staying on based upon his attributes and what you need when you're down to 10 men. I think, Colin, you touched on it. However, I'll caveat that and say, given the fact that he only started his first game against Portsmouth on Monday for a very long time, from a fitness perspective and a risk perspective, was it a wise move? He limped off. I don't think it was anything to do with his injury, but he was on the wrong end of a really agricultural tackle. I think it was a fair tackle, but it was a heavy one. But obviously he limped off. We don't know the repercussions from that. So that could prove to be a mistake.
Well, I think with Yon, he obviously has played back-to-back 90 minutes there, and he pretty much, well, I said 90 minutes, but I think what did he get yesterday? 70, 80 minutes, something like that. So he's played a lot of football that his body's obviously not used to. So I think he's probably, a lot of it's aches and pains from the fact that he's put his body on the line for.
No, I think he was visibly limping yesterday as a result of an impact. And that's worrying, because if he is injured, considering obviously Dan's out long term, we're left with a threadbare attacking lineup with Dion, Adebayo, and Cameron Jerome.
We absolutely, that whole January spiel, we need reinforcements now in January. We do.
Yeah, I think thinking about it in hindsight, which is a beautiful thing, we all know that. There was another option which hasn't been mentioned, which, I mean, it came to fruition later, but with Bodvarsson already on the pitch. In fact, no, he wasn't. I think Adebayo had come on at this point, bringing on Mendes Gomez. I thought Aaron Morley, I thought he was poor by his standards. I think taking him off and bringing on Mendes Gomez as an attacking midfield option to complement a single attacker may have been a better option, but it didn't happen. So I don't know. I just thought tactically, I thought it was poor yesterday. and I think that was our downfall. But you've got to give credit to Bristol Rovers.
I'm not a massive advocate of this opinion, and obviously everyone's entitled to it, so it's absolutely fine. I'm of the opinion that you shouldn't ever be a plan B. It should just plan A should be as best as it possibly can be. However, what I would say to that, I'm beginning to get a little bit annoyed that in game we don't deviate away from what we do from a tactical standpoint. No. I don't know whether that is because Everett is saying, listen, it's this way or nothing, which when we get back into the Championship, it simply can't be that way. Whether or not he feels that that's the only way to kind of coach these players that he's got, and that's why we play the way we play regardless of the situation. But I just think that when you can visibly see, I sit in the North Upper, so I can see the whole pitch, and you could see that them lads were getting doubled up on our fullbacks. And because we don't have wingers, so we can drop in and help the mates out when we're under the cosh, and when we haven't got it all our own way, I don't see how we don't react to that and just say to one of the forwards or one of the midfielders, just drop in. Do you get what I mean? Just for 5 minutes and help your mates out and go along or go into whatever you want to do, regroup. But it never happens, and we conceded both our goals yesterday from the flanks because of I think. I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's because our lads at fullback were under the cosh.
Yeah, I have to admit, during the game, and obviously your emotions and your interpretations are change when you see things back on Twitter or whatever, that I was raging with Cogley for the second goal, because he did his basics right in terms of getting in front of the winger, regaining the ball, and then he inexplicably lost possession. I thought he'd given it back to him, but I think he was a bit unfortunate as the ball seemed to catch under his boot and sort of bobble away.
He was, but that's what annoyed me in that situation. If and he's played at a higher level, so I don't understand why that thing about going down when you feel something. He got an opportunity to do that yesterday.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
and then he got doubled up on.
You know what?
The things that annoy me.
There's a lot to be said, and I don't know if anybody watched the Everton-Burnley game yesterday. Not the most interesting game of football on paper, but I thought Everton changed the way that they set up yesterday, and it was very, very noticeable, and it worked. But what I noticed was, and it's nothing revolutionary, there was a lot of instances where the Everton fullbacks have no issue in literally just oofing the ball out of play. I think it's something that George Johnston used to do a lot of. He had no issue in just putting the ball into the stand. If there was something, if he was under pressure, if it was questionable whether he's going to get the ball anywhere else, he just put it out.
That's an old saying when you start playing football as a kid, that if you're in an area where you're not used to it, if in doubt,
get it in Rose. Get it in Rose head. And I don't think there's any issue. Is it within the Everett playbook? Maybe not. But I've got no issue with that. So anyway.
What's everybody in the chat saying, Ben? Because I feel like me, Chris, and just Rolf, me and Chris are rambling here, aren't we, to an extent?
I'm just like a viewer today.
It's all the same. A lot of people saying very, very similar things. A lot of comments on Cogley's form in recent weeks, and Hayden's mentioned it. Brandon's mentioned it.
That'll be me giving him the kiss of death. I'm pretty sure I said a few weeks ago, I'm really enjoying watching him develop and grow, and then boom.
There was a comment from, can I pop this in the comments, please? From Michael BWFC 147. Cogley will be knackered. Is the only player with no outs right back up. Outright back up. Right. Right. Okay, got it. Thanks. And I agree with that. Obviously, he was playing League Two football last season with Tranmere. He's been an ever-present, even in cup games, in the Bristol Street Motors, etc. I think that there could be a fatigue issue there because his eagerness to get forward has lessened in the last couple of weeks or so. He's not the player that he was, and his input was excellent. I mean, the stats showed it in terms of assists and goal chances created. He was in every table for that across all the 92, and now he just seems to have dropped off. And there's got to be questions asked about, whether he's played too much football.
Plus a new
I think
baby.
it's a combination.
It shouldn't affect it, but there is a new baby in the house as well, so it's
it's all stuff that makes a difference on it. You're right, Ange, absolutely. Maybe it's time that our mate Geth goes to right wing back for a game or two, and we bring in the lad who came on who played very well yesterday. We got on Forrester, yeah. Maybe that's the option in the next game to give the lad a rest.
Or we play Toll in his natural position, and for the love of God, watch how good he plays.
Yeah,
I mean,
we can't really have a go at him because he is playing out of position, isn't he? Really, and I know people saying, "Oh, what about Toll's performances and all that?" He isn't a left-sided centre half, is he? Let's be honest.
And he looked miles more comfortable second half yesterday. So much more comfortable.
Right. Yeah. We've probably expect a bit of a shake-up in defence. We have to because obviously Rico's missing now, isn't he? So
yeah, there was I'm just looking for a comment that was put in the fan focus, basically touching on exactly what you said there with regards to Owen Toll, which was from Liam. So I can't put it up as a comment because I can because ta-da. Liam BWFC 01, regular listener. I put that to Chris in the questions. And what Liam said was, are we stifling Owen Toll at left centre-back? He's so much better at right centre-back. Even if Geth is still to be picked above Forrester, why not have Geth as left centre-back and Toll as right centre-back? So basically, echoing what you just said, Ben. But I think we've all said it at some point in some form of context that, obviously Toll was a revelation last season up until his injury in the Papa John's final. And that was playing at right centre-back. So he constantly has to check back because he's so one-footed. And I agree with Liam and what everybody's just said, Ben, what you just said, that we're not utilising him as we should be. We're not getting optimal performance from him because he's playing on the wrong side and in that position.
And if you think about it, it's ultimately to cover Jono's spot. And I can't see us making a signing to cover that position in January. It's not going to happen. So Toll's going to play what is likely to be a full season at left centre half, and so then he's just about going to get to grips with it, and then come the end of the season, he ain't going to play there. Johnson will get back, and next season he'll be back at right centre back, and it's just he's going to be all out of whack again. It'll be easier for him to transition into that because it's his natural position, but it's just, I don't know. It's a frustrating one.
It is what it is, isn't it? Let's be honest. I mean, we're still pretty well stocked, aren't we? Like considering the lot of the teams that we play against, even with the players playing out of position, they're still good enough to be at the top end of this division. I think it's just frustrating, isn't it? Really.
I think it's good enough to be at the top end, Cole, but I don't know if it's good enough to be in the top two.
Yeah, well, I mean, all the time will tell. We're not even halfway through the season yet.
No, I mean, look, I'm not panicking.
We're 6 points off the top with a game in hand.
No.
Was it 7? No.
9 now, isn't it?
No.
From Portsmouth.
Game in hand,
but we
lose games.
We've pulled that back before. I mean, they're an amazingly consistent team, and you've got, again, another team you've got to give massive credit to for what they've done this season. I mean, consistency has been unbelievable. They've lost one game So, but I'll settle for second.
Indeed. It's, as you said, Carl, only time will tell. And going to have to move on to Angie's segment where we do our Fanzone Man of the Match.
I think I'm going to give it Lofty.
Give it the bath.
I mean, the bloody bath is out again, I know.
Oh.
So, I don't... It's going to be a tough one, but whack a player in if you think anyone actually had a good game. Put it in the chat.
You know what? I actually do not know who I'm going to give it to.
Jesus.
I
haven't given it any thought. I've never been put on the spot. I'm exactly the same as you, Ben. I ain't got a clue.
And I've never, not once this season or since we've been doing this podcast, been in that boat.
I must put it out there only because.
Go on, Cole.
Only because I know. I used to obviously play football when I was thinner, and obviously as a forward as well. And I know how hard it is to play up front in general, at any level, at 11-a-side especially. But obviously, Jon on his own for like a good 70, 75 minutes, having been injured and obviously had a poor injury record recently. I'll just give it to him because it's a difficult task playing up front, running that line, pressing from the front, and doing it on your own. It's hard, isn't it? So that's about as much as I can come up with. Just give it to Jon for that reason. And he had a few snapshots, didn't he? He had a try, didn't he? So that's the best I can come up with, really.
Any advances on that?
It's a tough gig playing up front. It's a tough gig, and especially in our team. And he did run the line pretty well, all things considered, on his own anyway.
Thomason had a reasonable game in that midfield. I thought Magoma showed flashes again.
He was not happy when he came off.
In fact, can we just it gives me time to process who I might choose for man of the match. Just on that, I mean, we know, obviously, we noticed somebody tried to stop him going down the tunnel.
Oh, yeah.
And then he went down the tunnel. And then, obviously, from where we're sat, you can see him go past the entrance to the home tunnel. And he was flailing his arms everywhere. He was visibly unhappy. But I think it was... Who was it? Somebody mentioned earlier on Twitter. I think it might have been Vintage White. Mentioned that he did actually come back onto the bench. No, I didn't see that.
No, I didn't.
So it'd be interesting to see if anybody can confirm that he did come back. But it's one of those, isn't it? In terms of the team, the collective, it's not great, is it? However, for a lone player to be that disappointed, whether that be in his own performance or whether that be in the team performance, it does show standards.
And I assume that is why he stormed off, because he's pissed off with himself or the team, not because he's being taken off.
We don't know, do we? We don't know that.
But I think some people do think that's why he's done it, because he's pissed off at getting taken off. But I actually don't think that's why.
No,
I think he's so passionate that he's more disappointed in him and the team.
Guess said the other day, didn't he, how much the winners they all are from top to bottom. You know, they want to win football matches, don't they? And they're used to winning as well. That's the thing. And
exactly, it's the mentality, isn't it? And there was an instance in the second half when he was still on the pitch, where I'm not sure who had the ball at the time. I think it was Iredale. Iredale cut in from the left a little bit. It was probably 10 yards into the Bristol Rovers half. And Magoma just took the ball off him. Literally ran up at the side of him and said, right, come on. And literally took the ball off him and went on a mazy dribble, which served a purpose to a degree. Didn't result in anything, but it was quite clear that he wanted to literally, seize the initiative. And yeah, I'm liking that. But
Anyway, back to Fanzone Man at Match.
Oh, yeah,
because we're
that's
yeah, sorry,
diverting.
mate. George Thomason.
What we're doing.
Best of a
Thomason.
bad bunch. There you go.
Okay, have you got one, Ben?
I don't. I actually don't.
There's a couple of shouts in the chat for Dempsey when he came on. Obviously, it was not really. What minute did he come on in? I don't know. 20 minutes or something. Did he play 25 minutes?
Yeah.
I agree with the shout for Tomo that he did a fair bit in a really lackluster midfield. He kind of did bits. I agree with the shout for Jon on his own as a target man, and him limping. I was like, and like he was left on limping for about 10 minutes. So
can't be that injured then if that's the case. Because
fingers crossed that's nothing other than a little pull or whatever. But Benjamin, I'm feeling here. I need you gotta say your name, man.
Right, name, come on.
Anything.
We'll go with Dempsey, just because he had a little bit of a runabout for 20 minutes and he's got nice hair.
Well, he should have been. He should have started. He should have been started the last two games for me. I
hope he's starting on Saturday.
We're a better side with him, innit? I'll be honest with you.
No, Sheen will be back, won't he, as well?
Oh yeah, I forgot about Joshua. Right, so I'm gonna go with. I'll go with Georgie T. I'll agree with Chris.
Best of a bad bunch.
Well done.
Yeah, best of a bad bunch.
Absolutely. So
we got through it.
We'll hand over to Cole for his pre-match presser.
This would have been an ideal opportunity to whip the sunglasses out and cheer everybody up after such a shambolic.
You know what? I was going to say, Cole, it's the first week. I don't think that I can laugh at your picture.
I know.
No, it would have come on with them on. Would you smiled?
No,
I would have.
I would have.
I'm glad I didn't wear that.
Yeah, probably.
So we play at Lincoln City at home on Saturday.
Lincoln City?
We definitely don't.
No, we don't.
Should we play Leighton Orient instead?
Have you done Lincoln?
Yeah, sorry. That's embarrassing. That's I'm going to
talk about Lincoln.
We just jump ahead to boxing.
That'll be in the bloopers, that won't it?
It's all gone Pete song.
What a clown.
What a
clown. A melon. What a melon.
Who do we play?
We're best to move on because I had forgot it was Leighton Orient. I thought it was Lincoln.
You know what, Cole? We were engaging with Prosperous Penguin, the Wigan fan, earlier, and he said he was going to be he was going to be watching the pod tonight. No, I don't know if he will, but I tell you what, if he doesn't clip that bit and smash it all over social media, I will be very surprised.
He or she will be missing a trick.
Let's not assume. Let's not make it. That's not gender.
Indeed. Oh, well, I'm not.
People.
Yeah, my apologies. I've obviously gone a bit mixed up.
Should we talk about Lincoln anyway?
We can do. Go on, Colin.
Right. In my defence, and I'm glad that's probably cheered people up, so I'm actually quite all right with that. It's not an excuse, but the reason why I've done Lincoln and I got my L's confused was because I'm doing a pre-recording this week with Jake Tong, who's a Lincoln fan, but we're doing it pre-recorded because it's over Christmas. So I've got my fixtures a little bit mixed up. So in my head, I thought we were playing Lincoln because we're pre-recording that this week ahead of the Lincoln game. So it's not an excuse, but that is the reason why I thought we were playing Lincoln.
Right.
Lincoln.
I mean, realistically, your pre-match presser this week is going to consist of this is who we're playing. We need to win. End of.
The end.
I can't believe that.
Do you know what you could do for your pre-match presser? Fanzone Christmas party.
Yeah.
Tell us all about it, Colin.
Well, we're going to be meeting up for a few drinks, and I'll tell you what I'll do. But because of that mistake, I'll buy the first 3 people a drink who we see on
Me? Can it be me?
Is that me, Chris?
It doesn't include these clowns. So if the first 3 people that come,
less of the clown sunshine. Who's just done Lincoln City?
You just dropped a clanger.
Yeah. Well, no one's perfect, are they? Let's be honest. So
Absolutely.
But as an apology for that distinct lack of professionalism, as a promise, the first 3 people who say hello to us on Saturday at our little shindig, I'll buy you a drink. So
in better news, Colin, it's raised the spirits of the viewers this evening. Kelly H says, "Well, that cheered us up, Colt." So,
yay, job done.
And there's people saying that I'm making it up. I swear, Jake is coming on for the preview this week, and I just got myself a little bit confused. So, yeah,
it's easily done with all the ticket dramas and things as well. It's easily done.
It just highlights once again how important it is for us to get out of this division, because I'm sick of playing these tin pot teams. And I'm sorry, Jake. They're all the same, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Should we jump into an ad break?
I think that's wise. Make sure it's the right sponsor.
We would, of course, like to say, you actually ruined what I was going to do there. I was going to say the wrong one on purpose, but now I
can't do that.
I would like to say a big, big thank you to our headline sponsors for the 2023-24 season, which is, of course, none other than Eco Warm Windows. A huge thank you to the guys over there. If you want to find out more about any of our sponsors or Eco Warm Windows, then head over to our website, www.thefanzonepod.co.uk. and you can find out all you need to know. But I think we'll swiftly move on from the last 10 minutes or so. And Chris, we'll hand over to you. Can you remember what your segment is?
No.
Oh, that's it.
I'll start with that comment from Ben, who says you can bet your hedges on Colin.
Well, this is the thing, you see, no one's perfect. We all make mistakes and we all say stupid things.
What a great reference that is to the previous pod. That's brilliant. Well done, Ben. That's made me smile. Ben, I think we should offer it out to the viewers. If anybody can understand the reference to the title of tonight's podcast.
Indeed. You might have to have a closer look at the thumbnail as well. If any of you have been to Venice, then have a little nosy.
So
let's see Venice.
No prizes, just pride.
Where will we be located in the fan zone on Saturday, Benjamin?
Top left.
Next to that one that sells beers.
Near the
Madrid stand.
Near the Madrid.
Other beers are available.
Close to the toilets for Ange.
Yeah. Yep. Pizza. Sushma's Snacks, obviously located close by. Excellent.
It's all close by, isn't it? It's only about 20 square foot.
Chris will be there with his Eco Warm cards, handing those out.
Yeah, we'll be there. 12 p.m. onwards. You'll find us.
Who are we playing on Saturday?
We'll be playing the Leyton Orient.
Luton.
On a murder, aren't I?
Oh, Colin. Right. Okay. I'd say I'd go out on a limb and say that the response to this week's Fanzone Focus has been probably the biggest yet. It's weird, isn't it?
How British is that? How British is that?
We are absolute rubberneckers, aren't we? We just love
morning.
A big mess, a big accident. So I've had to, again, strip it back, and there'll be a surprise in this as well. So watch this space. But the first topic we're going to discuss this evening was raised by three people in different ways, which are Vintage White, Guy Gibson, and Mark Weaver. So with the January window looming, do we think that Ian Evatt / Neil Hart / Chris Markham still believe we have enough to be promoted this season without strengthening in January? Do we have the necessary finances to do so anyway? Interesting question. And then elaborated on by Philicon, which positions particularly and specifically do we need to strengthen? Don't think about this just purely off the back of yesterday and Santos being sent off and the poor performance, but his suggestions were a strong central defender and a midfielder, and he's actually put some names behind it, which are Cooper from Millwall and Louis Sibley from Derby. Now, I don't know if they're available, but
I tell you what, it properly boils my piss, this.
Because
Benjamin!
Can't swear like that. We're not that pod.
It does though. It's just so frustrating. As a fan, you can say that. You can come out and you can tell people like where you think needs strengthening. Do you think for 1 minute Ian Evatt and Neil Hart are going to sit there in cahoots and go, I'll tell you what, on Tuesday should we go to Bolton News and tell everyone who we want to sign?
No,
it's
but
not
Ben,
funny, are they?
No, but Ben, we're a podcast to discuss them subject matters. So without people doing that, we wouldn't have a podcast.
No, I get it, but the frustrations come from when people suggest that Neil Hart or Ian Evatt are in the wrong for saying those things, because they're not gonna. They have to back the players. They aren't gonna go. Yeah, to be fair, Mark,
we're a bit
squad
shy,
bit of a mess in it. We're a bit rubbish. I think probably need 6 or 7 to come in, and yeah, maybe we'll have a chance then. They're just not going to do it, are they? So don't get frustrated when they say the things that they are inevitably going to say.
I'm just going to play devil's advocate again. So a couple of weeks ago, Ben, you very kindly gave Radio Manchester my phone number. Was it after the Exeter game?
It was.
Obviously we were riding high, and Phil Brown was on the phone in. So I was a bit starstruck because he was playing for Bolton when I first started watching us.
You're starstruck with everybody though, Chris. You'd be starstruck with
I'm just a fanboy, aren't I, Cole? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But what he said was, I think he's right in what he's saying. So part yesterday, part Portsmouth, we were on a crest of a wave going into Christmas, and we still are to a point. That the best time to sign players is when you are at the peak of the curve, when you're hitting that success, when you're hitting your rich vein of form, bring in new players to add to that. And that was something that was said by one of our previous scouts who worked for Sam Allardyce in years gone by, that was his philosophy, which he found always worked. So I don't think it's necessarily a case of that saying, we've got weaknesses. Well, as Liam says there, who brought that comment up then? Liam says we will strengthen, but Evatt isn't going to publicly identify weaknesses. No, he's not, because he's got, as a manager, he's got a wider consideration for the psychology and the mental strength and the approach of the team. He's not going to start hanging players out to dry. But there's a lot to be said for adding quality when you're doing well. And I think that's a really good way of looking at it. But it would be interesting to know. I think we've done it to death, haven't we? With that, we need that rugged midfielder that can mix it up. That times of a midfielder.
Hold on a minute. I'm not being told off for swearing if people are going to be dropping S-bombs.
I know.
Not
Is it in the Urban Dictionary, S-housery? It's, you know what I mean? It's become...
Well, so boiling piss, but if I can't say it, neither can you.
Fair dues. But I did kind of edit it out a little bit, didn't I? Back
on track.
But where do we think we need to strengthen? Don't put it, as I say, don't base your approach and thoughts on what happened yesterday. But where do you think we need to strengthen?
Can I go first?
Yeah.
Go on.
I think I'd quite like us to sign a new microphone for the fellow that reads stuff out because it's horrific. Some fans who'd like to get up and sing a little bit, that'd be nice. And then in terms of on the pitch, I'd quite like us to see something at left wing back. I'm not sure. I don't know if we've seen the best of Zach Ashworth. I'm not sure if we will do. I don't know about that one. Who knows where that'll go, because we've got the option to buy, so whether that's explored in summer we'll have to wait and see. But based on performances alone, I mean, not quite sure on that one, so we'll have to see. No. Same again, possibly even with right wing back, even if it's just some competition. You'll have Matheson on the brink, just sort of, but I don't think that's enough to worry Cogley for a first team place.
He's not to be fair.
Matheson will be next season. He's not played a lot of football as in recent years, so they're not going to rush him in to try and compete with the right back there.
No, you'd see him on the bench, wouldn't you? And we've not. I think maybe once.
No, exactly. But for me, in terms of first team,
bench in total.
in terms of first team, that's it for me. That's wing backs is the biggest area where I think we need to just add competition, because I think that alone will be enough to drive performances up. I'd rather see us in January going. I don't think there's any point signing loan players, because ultimately, for what we'd spend on them, I'd rather just go and sign a couple of youngsters that we can keep hold of. In terms of depth, I don't think. If you look at our starting 11, there aren't many clubs that are going to be willing or going to actively encourage their youngsters to go and sit on our bench and bench warm just for us to have the luxury of better depth in certain areas. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Wing backs, I think, for me.
What we're saying, what are your views on this?
Well, I've been waxing lyrical over the fact that we should have signed a central midfielder all season. We haven't got enough experience in the middle of the park. We haven't got enough nous. We haven't got enough bite when the chips are down. Portsmouth, prime example on Monday. I mean, it was screaming out for somebody to just get on that pitch, and I think just be a nasty sod basically, and just start getting older people by the back of the necks and putting people straight, because I think we're just too nice, personally. I don't see that anger in the team. Everyone, which is, they're good footballers, so they'll probably get out of the league, which is fine. But I think in some games you need that's something about that experience. It counts for a lot, and I think that's a lot of the reason why Cameron Jerome's in and around the squad, because he's got that experience. But we need more of it. We need players on the pitch, like a Morsey, for example, who played at Ipswich last season. Somebody like that in the middle of the park.
Right example, that.
So that's for me all day long, and it needs to be a player that will be able to play in the Championship as well if we were to get promoted. But again, as I keep saying, that player is going to cost money if we sell him permanently, especially if what we expect of our players tactically in and out of possession as well.
It was part of the question that do we have the necessary finances? And you know what? And Pete Edge has just mentioned it. Spend money. Have we got it? We don't know. Let's
be honest, though. Well, let's be honest. People got such short memories. And I get what Pete's saying, but where we've just come from, and what we've had to endure financially, that is the last thing that we were going to be doing, just spending money for the sake of it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It has to be done right. And I'm sure there is money available when we do get promoted. We have heard that. The investors all might, put their hands in the pocket a little bit more if we do get promoted. That's what we're going to need. But for this season, I don't know. It's a difficult one. But centre midfield, as well, to your question. And I would probably say somebody to play up front as well. I think you always need that.
Just to answer this comment that's been put on, I completely understand that a player like Leif Davis would be incredible. They spent £1 million on him alone.
Yeah,
he spent £1 million.
Is he the fullback from Leeds?
Yeah, he's a cracking player.
Yeah,
but he was. Yeah,
£1 million just on one player, and I don't think we're quite kicking around that yet.
No, they spent. Yeah, they got $3 million on 3 players, and we ain't got that money.
No,
definitely not.
Imagine that. Imagine your reaction to seeing that we've signed 3 players for £3 million in total. You'd fall off your chair.
It's not going to happen.
It's never happened.
Not at the moment, anyway.
No chance.
That comment there, Carl Henry type. That's exactly what.
Yeah, it's exactly that.
What? Luke O'Connell, get him back in midfield.
Yeah,
somebody's get hold of a game midfield. Bit of a SHIT house. I think he's a cracking midfielder, isn't he? I'd have him back for us in our midfield at the drop of a hat, and I don't care how much stick I get for that, but him all day long.
Yeah, I agree. No. It is a good one. It is that.
All that winding up we were doing last season, all that gobbing off. That's exactly what we need in our team. We're too nice. That's our problem.
And that lad's Jeff.
Oh, what a legend.
You need a player who you love, but opposition fans hate.
And him having him in Middle Park as well.
Yeah.
Jay Spearing type of thing, but someone like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my
what it disrupts this, the style of football that Everett wants us to play. And I guess that's a question to counter that. But Ange, have you got any thoughts where you'd like to see some improvement, some additional bodies through the door?
Yeah, both wing backs, same as Ben, really, even just for competition. But that left side worries me. I think we're going to need someone up top because of just the injuries.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree with Colin that gritty, dirty, shy house midfielder. But I think that would be I don't think we'll be able to afford anybody in the January window.
Yeah, that's a good
but we need one at some point. And we've been saying it since we started this pod. And I think everyone has probably said it in the group chats for the last couple of seasons that I think since SARS was a little bit like that, but we just don't have that.
No.
We don't have that at the minute. So it would be nice. I just don't think it'll happen.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
I think to answer that question, Ben, I think he would do if they could play.
What he doesn't like is gobby players.
Yeah.
But if there's a difference, there's a massive difference in there.
To be fair, though, I don't think we're giving.
Just a sec, for audio only listeners, Ben's question was: does Everett like gritty players?
I don't think we're giving enough credit to some of the lads in that team. I mean, we've all said it before. Dion's like that. Dion's such a you'd hate playing against him. He's always biting your ankles, and you can see him, the way he talks and the way he you know, he's a bit like that. Thomason's like that. I mean, when he fouls someone and he don't think they should have gone down, he stands over him and he just barks at him in the face. And there are players like that in the squad. I don't think there's no one that stands out as that, really horrible, nasty player. But there are a couple in there that have got that little bit of bite about them. And that,
I think
that
even
can
just
give a bit.
from a physicality point of view, you look at our side in the small, other than Rico, Tolly, and then if JDB's starting, but the middle is small.
Yeah, there's definitely no height.
We need some physicality in the middle of that pitch.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Abdullah Faisal is in Bolton, don't you? Could he?
Honestly, what I do for that, Cole. Unbelievable. Absolute. Players were terrified of him.
Yeah.
Scared him to death. But for me, it depends on what money we've got left over from 2 big new tellies and finishing the LED ribbon off. So, anyway.
There's a bit of money. There's a bit of money for cut progress, isn't there? There's a couple of grand from that.
Yeah. I think, Anyway, but a very, very interesting question. And it's something that we've looked at from different angles before, but yeah. The next one, and this may be seen as controversial, but I don't care. Because I think it's a very, very good question, and I think it's been looked at very well. I think there might be an agenda to it, and you'll find out why in a minute when I tell you who it's from. So our next question comes from a young man or woman, we don't know, because they
are old.
Say again.
Are old. We don't know the young.
Yeah. Who operates under a pseudonym, which everybody's got a right to do on Twitter, and that is our nemesis, the Prosperous Penguin. And if he's watching, or she is watching, good evening. I think this is very interesting because we've spoken a lot this season about League One being substandard, but substandard from the perspective that Ipswich, Plymouth, and Sheffield Wednesday were promoted. Not so much the fact that when teams are relegated from the league above, from the Championship, that they will be inevitably, for a multitude of reasons, finance, pride, whatever you want to call it, they want to get back up straight away. And they've already got players who are capable of playing in a league or higher. The teams in question are...
They've not because they won't have got relegated if they had.
Well, yeah, but they've got experience of playing in that league.
Yeah.
Significant experience.
Yeah, fair.
And the teams in question are Reading, Blackpool, and Wigan. And the common denominator, not less so with Blackpool because obviously their financial issues are now in the past, but certainly Reading and Wigan were, should we say, had off-field issues, which obviously resulted in points deductions, etc. Wigan are fine now. Reading is still, unfortunately, struggling with their owner. But I think it's a really, really good point that he makes, or she, that it's vital for promotion this season as the 3 teams relegated have been subject to off-field issues, therefore making them weaker. Whereas next season, the likelihood of that being the case is slim to none.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know. Chef Wednesday are in a little bit of a pickle with their owner, and they look like they're on their way down.
Yeah.
I'm sure I heard about QPR being in a bit of a mix-up, or was that just poor form?
Poor form, new manager turning it in the process of turning it around at the moment. Bit of an upturn in terms of results.
But then Rotherham will probably drop, won't they? And if we can't compete with Rotherham, we might as well give up.
New manager at Rotherham, bit of a bounce maybe. But I think the point being is that, you know, I want, you know, I think, Ben, you've probably touched on the only club that's likely to have any issues in terms of financial fair play or poor ownership that could result in point deductions, which is Sheffield Wednesday. They've got a new manager. Their form is starting to turn as well. So I think it's a really interesting way of looking at it because, as I say, every conversation has been about the three teams that have gone up as opposed to the three teams that have come down, making League One of a poorer standard this season and an easier proposition to get promotion from.
I think Reading will drop though, this season. So they'll be at the equation next
I mean, you've got to think about as well the teams that are coming up from League Two. I mean, you've got Stockport, Barrow, and it looks like it could either be Wrexham or Mansfield. So, I mean, of the three that came up this year, I think they're pretty likely to do better. I think Stevenage might be the only oddball, but you look at Wrexham. I mean, I would imagine they're going to have a pretty fluent budget to play around with. Stockport likely the same. So I think of the three that came up, they'll provide a tougher test than the three that have done this time. So I think all round,
as Chris would say, war a comment. I'll let you read it out, Ben.
You know, I'm convinced if you hadn't seen that, you'd probably got your back up at what I just said. What do you think about playing Wrexham next season, Colin? Do you fancy being on telly on Disney?
Yeah.
Read Brandon's comment.
What a farce.
Brandon has said, we have owners who run the club correctly and care. With the size, history and pull power of this club, it will come in time. Pensions is needed because this project is absolutely enormous.
Enormous?
And that's the thing to remember. A lot of time when we lose a football game, and the turnaround of this club in a very, very short period of time is unbelievable.
Very, very true. Very true. On that, about being massive, we move on to our final point of the evening, which was raised by super fan of the Fanzone Podcast, Brandon. I think it's fair to pen him as a super fan. Atmosphere.
That's if you want to be called a super fan. If you take super fan as an insult and you don't want to be that closely associated with us, then we'll take it back.
What?
I don't know. If I was called a super fan or something, it's a bit like nerdy, isn't it?
Fancy, do you think? Or a little bit patronising?
Oh, maybe.
Or a bit embarrassing?
Top contributor.
What's Brandon's?
Yeah.
What's Brandon's comment?
Top contributor.
Chris.
So Brandon was speaking about the atmosphere yesterday, and obviously the fact that attendances are at an all-time high since we were relegated from the Premier League. It's pretty poor. Do football in a library. Do football in a library, etc.
It's not poor, really, is it? It's expectant. The players have put themselves in a position to. The fans are expecting them to win. So when you go to any club of a certain size in each division, the atmospheres are often like that. You know, I used to go to Anfield when we used to play Liverpool, and they didn't make an ounce of noise. You know, same with Old Trafford, same with Arsenal, at Highbury, or Emirates, whatever it might have been. They're exactly the same. It's expected to beat us, and we expect to beat the teams that we're playing. That's why the atmosphere as it is. A couple of weeks back when we played Blackpool, nobody was saying this.
Yeah.
It's not a poor atmosphere, it's just an expectant atmosphere.
Yeah.
There's a element of responsibility, and that responsibility, in my opinion, lies with the players. It's up to them to get the fans going.
Well, that was Vintage White's comment on the same thread, that fans react to the football being played. They respond to the product that's in front of them, and I agree with that. I also think as well that the expectancy, but also I think the fact that we are spoiled. If you look at the rate of increase in attendance over the last 5 years, it's been stellar. It's been rapid.
Since COVID, hasn't it, really? Because everybody came back into the stadium.
It is, and I think also it has. I think it has a lot to do with the pricing structure. The fact that season ticket prices have been frozen, and comparable to other League One clubs, the prices are really, really low. So you get that increased interest. You're not going to get your vociferous fans buying those. You're going to get people who want to come for the day or whatever. I think the fans that you attract by doing that, and not, it's going to take them time to become passionate and make noise about what they see on the pitch. And I think you really need to take that into consideration. I think it's artificially inflated in terms of the number of supporters that sit in that ground. You expect 19,500 people to make a lot of noise and be, raucous, and I don't think it's the case. That you've got the same sort of core supporters, but a massive attendance due to low season ticket prices, and coupled with what you say, Cole, which I think is bang on, that expectancy.
I'm guilty. I'm guilty as they come. When I go to that place, when we play Bristol Rovers, or we play Lincoln, or we play Leighton Orient, or whoever else we're playing, I expect us to beat them teams.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to start getting me bloody wooden, whatever it's freaking called, out and start making loads of noise. Yeah. I expect us
I don't expect you to get them out, get one of those.
Yeah, I expect us to beat these pub teams.
I think as well,
a large percentage of the people in that.
Do you know, it's a good job we don't get many away fans watching us, because after what you come out with on every episode, we get absolutely minced by away fans.
Colin,
it's true. We are playing pub teams.
Oh, stop it.
Colin, stop it.
I'm saying what a lot of people think.
Brandon also mentioned, I'm just going to paper over that.
That crack.
Not that. No, Angela. no. Not that crack. Brandon also touched on the away support. I think about it from my own point of view. The way I am at away games versus the way I am at home games is completely different. In terms of noise and volume, and
I thought you were about clothes. I thought you were thinking about clothes then. H&M on a match day and Stone Island on an away day.
Yeah. Get the badge in. That's Sam, isn't it? But I think it's totally different, and you do see that more sort of hardcore, not from a fighting point of view, but that longer standing supporter, more vociferous supporter at the away game.
Well, these teams don't exactly get you motivated, do they? Like with the followings that they bring. Let's be honest. You know what? They could very well be called Lincoln Orient.
Indeed.
And they forever shall be, I think, now.
Yeah, they forever shall be. I'm happy to accept that.
Or Leighton City.
Well, we'll finish tonight's episode off by saying we'll be joined by the Orient Outlook, whether that's Leighton Orient, Lincoln Orient, or whichever one you prefer. They'll be joining us for an episode of the preview on Thursday. Thankfully, Colin won't be there to insult the guests that we've got. But if you'd like to join us, then you absolutely can do. Thursday, 7:30 p.m, we'll be joined by the Orient Outlook for another episode of the preview. So,
Sorry, guys. Sorry to the audience. I apologise.
Yeah, so you should be.
My comments.
We're looking forward to that one. And remember, Saturday in the fan zone, we'll be there for our Christmas party. Brandon's bringing his drum and his pyros, so he'll have the atmosphere bouncing in the fan zone.
Benjamin, can I just raise a question that I think it was Kelly asked earlier about, will we be doing a post-match pod with it being Christmas Eve?
Oh, good question, Kelly.
And we did say we potentially would put it to a vote, and if you wanted us to do one, we could maybe do one, but earlier.
We did. Yes. So basically, it's Christmas Eve, isn't it? So we're not really sure if any of you are actually going to be able to watch and whether you're that fussed about it. So, I mean, if you want us to do a pod, then we can do. If not, we won't be offended if you say you're not going to watch because it's Christmas Eve. Put it this way, if the result is anything like this one, I'm not doing it. So you three can jump on, but I'm not.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what.
Benjamin!
Entitled isn't the word. My God. Unreal. Are we going to do a poll, Ben?
We'll do a poll.
Yeah.
Should we put a poll on X?
Should we get it on Twitter?
On Bird app.
Cool. We'll do that. We'll put it on Twitter, and you can all let us know what you think. We won't be offended if you say you're not going to be watching it. But yeah, let us know. We'll put one out over on Twitter ASAP. So once this episode's finished, head over and it'll be on there. But until then, until the next time, take care, and we'll see you in the next one.
Ta-ra.